right?
Yeah, I've no idea.
No idea. Perfect. All
I
right.
could just drop out at any moment.
Yeah,
And leave you
exactly.
hanging. So.
All right. Well, so we're live, and
Cool.
thank you, Chewie Matt,
That's all right. I'm going to go
for
this way, so
for
I'm more
joining us.
center in the frame.
Yes. Oh, yes, yes. And please, be calm and relaxed. No, so just so everybody knows, here's the deal. Matt and I have already had a extensive conversation. It was fantastic. It's probably one of the, let's call it the second best interview I've ever done, and it was great. But I screwed up because we were trying to record it because we can't really do a 7 p.m. gig because Matt goes to bed early apparently. So, and he lives in the UK. If you couldn't tell by the goofy accent. So this is a reboot, and it's not really going to work out the same as like the normal interviews because we've already done that, and so we don't want to bore each other. Yeah. So, how was your week?
First time round, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How was your week, mate?
We've done. It's been all right actually. Yeah, apart from today with my internet dropping out, like I said, that's been a pain in the ass. Work's been a bit stressful, but that's COVID, isn't it? So yeah, other than that, all good. All good. How about you? Anything? How's the house move stuff going?
We're still trying to find that perfect buyer. And the missus and I went out to the new lot Wednesday and had a look at it and spoke to a builder, and so it's all going okay.
Are you building a place? Are you buying land and building a place?
We're building around my game room.
Right.
We're building a house around my game room. She doesn't know that, but that's what's happening.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. I'm gonna pitch that, in a few years' time to the other half.
It hasn't worked out very well so far. It's cost me a lot. I've got to buy her a tractor. She wants a tractor.
Right, cool.
So all right. So just because we do have 4 people here, and we we need to entertain them as well as each other. So what are you drinking? Because you're having a nice glass of wine there, I see.
Yeah, this is a South African white. It's a really nice Chardonnay, actually, from a vineyard called Newton Johnson, and it's pretty special, I have to say. It's nice.
Very nice, very nice. Well, cheers. I'm drinking a barrel-aged Imperial Stout.
Oh, nice.
It's our monthly get-together, and there's about 20 guys and girls in there. All we buy big 750ml bottles of beer off the menu, and then we all get about 1.5 ounces each of that.
Yeah.
And we have whatever else you want to drink on a regular basis. So
cool. What's it like? How would you describe it?
Oh, this is so it's got a lot of vanilla and caramel notes, but it also has that bourbon, sort of a little bit of bourbon kick to it, and it's got that malty stout thing. It's great. It's really good.
Excellent. Cool.
All right, let's find out who the hell you are. So, the last time we spoke, we talked about your foundation, which really kind of started in minis, I think, if I recall correctly, or was I not paying attention? So there was something to do with minis, and you weren't really excited about that because it was all kind of wonky and didn't really work out. And then, oh, that's right, you were in school, and then you played a board game of some type, and then did some minis, and then found
roughly things, right? So I was sort of we were trying to learn how to play D&D from word of mouth and the Monster Manual when I was about 10.
Right.
And so I started to go into a local not a war games club, a gaming club, and there was just a whole load of stuff going on there. Really sort of opened my eyes to the hobby gaming industry, let's say. So away from Cluedo and Kaplunk and all that, it was like Ogre, and there was like those little micro games.
That's right. Yeah, the micro games
and all kinds of mad shit like that. And we'd have big club games there was Swashbuckler. I don't know if you remember that thing with like the pop-up board with like the barroom brawl thing and stuff like that going on. So it was crazy. Had a really good time there. But what there wasn't there was like the old school. Cheers, Chris. The old school sort of SPI stuff, that Avalon Hill era, that all passed us by. But I changed towns a couple of times, and I went to another games club, and it was the same deal there. But because we was now 16, 17, 18, people were starting to say, oh, do you know what? Do you want to try squad leader? Do you know what? Do you want to try I don't know, Sixth Fleet or whatever was out. So we started playing that slightly more mature stuff. And I think it took off. I was telling you about Empires in Arms, our Empires in Arms game.
That's right.
A mate of mine bought Empires in Arms, and we unboxed that. There was about 8 of us sat around in the room, and we were looking at it going, oh yeah, hell yeah, we got to set this up. So that summer we had a 3-month-long game of Empires in Arms, and I was the Russian, so I had a bearskin hat. The British had a bowler hat. The French had a beret. I was trying to remember what the hell the Austrians
didn't have a white flag? Oh, sorry. Culturally inappropriate. Oops.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what the Austrians had, and they had one of those hats with the feather coming out of it. It was so wrong. I can't remember what the Spanish were wearing, but yeah, we sort of semi-role played it and semi-played our way through 3 months of Empires in Arms. It was just madness. It was really good fun.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So the nice thing was as well that because we were young, we didn't care if a game crapped out, because we just start again, you know?
Yeah.
We didn't care if Turkey ran away with that one because we'd let them bid inordinately low on the points thing, and now they were just sat there making their 7 points a turn going, haha, suckers, we're winning.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, let's
youth,
reset.
Right? Yeah. Your infinite gaming life is in front of you, and now it's all freaking finite, and we're screwed.
I know, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in a rush for the last 10 years of catching up on the 20 years I missed, right? So
yeah, totally. I was thinking about that before I was coming on, what games do I buy? And one thing I had to do because I did the obligatory miss the years 20 to 30, that was not gaming years. That was other things not to be mentioned in polite company.
Yes, and we kind of covered a little bit of that, and we'll leave that to another time.
Yeah. Let's do a different video on that. But one of the things I buy, I was just backfilling all this classic stuff that I felt I'd missed, victory, especially victory game stuff, US Civil War, which someone just mentioned. I've got Korean War to play. I've got some of the Fleet series to play. I've got Vietnam to play. Actually, Vietnam was a real bummer because my brother gave me a copy of the original Victory Games Vietnam when I was for my 17th birthday or something, and I lost it in a house move. And I was like, because at the time it was this complex looking thing, and it was whoa, what am I going to do with this? No one's going to play this.
Well, good news is it's a reprint. It's going to be even better. Now it might be kind of big because it's now a 3-map gig instead of a 2-map gig, I think. So bigger hexes, bigger counters, but basically the same game, just all cleaned up and fixed, right? So
yeah. Have you played it? Have you played Vietnam?
Oh, and speaking of which, I watched Mitch Land play just a week or 2 weeks ago. Time has kind of flown. I don't know when it was. I think it must have been 2 weeks ago. And I watched him play, and got to meet hang out with the artist. Mitch is kind of a bit of a hanger-on when it comes to the whole reboot of this thing. He's kind of like maestro where everyone else is doing the hard work. So
yeah. Good to see him on. Good to see you online, Mitch. Is a name I recognise from the Next War series, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see who else has got something to say. No one's got anything of note to say. All right, except for Mo trying to be funny, right? So. And I'm shaking flies away from my beer. Too much smash, I guess. So all right. So so when we talked last time, and those of you that are here late, next time be on time, because we start shit on time here. You can go back and watch the beginning and know that we're not doing this for the first time. So anyway, so we've already had a chat, but I screwed it up, and now we're having a redo, a do-over. So the opportunity here is you were a wargamer, you goofed around with minis quite a bit, but gel for you. And so that's kind of your wargaming history. But what the hell is going on with you starting a wargame YouTube channel, and why the hell are you called Chewie Matt?
Right, the Chewie Matt thing was just, have you never just been asked for a username and just gone, yeah, fuck it, that'll do. Like, I wasn't building.
Where do you think Big Board Gaming came from? Oh, it's a big board.
I wasn't. Chewie Matt was just. I was just after it. I needed a username. It was just like, that'll do. Fuck it, because I wasn't thinking of a brand. I was just typing a name into. I think I was setting the email up for a Gmail for a YouTube account, and I just went in, and then because I'd called the Gmail account Chewie something, then I went, oh well, I best be Chewie Matt on YouTube. So that's where that came from. It was all a complete error, user error,
a glib piece of internet buffoonery that has now spiraled into your YouTube persona.
Yeah, totally. And now I've got to own it.
And you're doing a good job of it, I must say. You've got the charming T-shirt, you got the wine, you got it all. You got it all going on. You're a man of mystery.
You know? Thanks, man.
You're like, hello, darling. Oh, behave. You know.
All behave.
Oh, behave.
So yeah, and I've now completely forgotten the. Oh, why did I start the channel? Oh,
yeah, why'd you start the channel?
Oh, so I'd seen Enrico Callendale do videos, and I just thought, well, firstly, that actually looks like a hoot, because the guy's just sort of vaguely pointing the camera somewhere near the board, usually focused on something that isn't the board, if it's focused on anything at all, and blathering over the top of it, and seems quite comfortable with the whole setup. And I thought, well, maybe this is fun. Maybe that could be fun. I tried it, and I found I enjoyed the game much more. I just found I focused on the game. I focused on the decisions I was making. I focused consciously on the outcomes of the decision. So like, you do something and you go, oh, that happened. And now I know why, because I was paying attention when I took the decision that led to that. Whereas normally if I played solo, I just fumbled through stuff, got halfway through and went, what the fuck is happening and why am I bothering? You know,
why am I doing this and who am I? Why
exactly. Am I here? What is the point of this? Why is this side lost so fucking badly? And what's the point of continuing? You know, so it gave more of a sense of structure to the whole enterprise, and I really liked it. And it was probably just as well that I started off with quite a big game, because I did Unconditional Surrender first. And it kept me really focused on, not on playing the game, but just on why things were happening. And it also zoned me into like trying to explain to myself why I was making the decisions I was making. Because I think playing solo, you can just goof around if you're not careful. And then you just end up with this kind of random mess that you don't understand because you goofed around. So it was keeping me focused on why I was doing what I was doing. Yeah,
keeping it honest too, right? Because you're recording it. Last thing you want to do is go back and re-record it, and then God forbid you actually got to go edit shit out and all that sort of stuff. So you tend to be a little more focused on the game and why you're doing it, and then also I think it helps. It can often help you evoke some narrative out of the whole experience as well.
Definitely. I think it helped me as well, and this is a terrible admission, but or maybe not, but I would find it easy to play a game like OCS and throw the dice and then go, oh, fuck that bullshit, that's not what was meant to happen. We were meant to break through there. Do you know what I mean?
I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I mean, it's all real. That's all. There's never no re-roll.
Exactly, never do-overs. This isn't how it's meant to do. But you could roll the dice 7 times and go, okay, which one now am I going to fucking pick? Do you know what I mean?
Have you ever done that? Have you ever gone, oh, I should re-roll, and then it's really like skewed the other way?
Yeah.
Now what do? Do I do like, should I average the numbers? Or do I roll it again?
Yeah, and then it's like, but then you reach the point like, why should I even bother rolling? Why don't I just pick the fucking result I want? Because that's all I'm doing. I'm just rolling the dice until I get the one I want. So why don't I just pick it? Cut out the middleman. So filming it stopped a lot of that bullshit as well. It was like, no, this one I'm filming, the dice land where they land, and often I film the dice rolls. So it's like, if I want to if I want to screw around with it, I have to refilm entire segments just to change a dice roll, and I'm fucked if I'm doing that. I'm just I'm just gonna keep it. So
yeah, as Greg says, often one of the best parts is soloing and then resetting, or you can wind it. One of the cool things is that you can rewind, like, because you've got video, and I take a lot of pictures as well. So you've got pictures, so you go, you know what, it didn't really work out the way I wanted to, or you realize at some point, you go, oh, I could have gone this way or that way instead.
Yeah.
And then that informs your play, and so you rewind it. And I've now started like including that, where we're doing the Desert Fox, and we totally shitboxed the first half of the first turn.
Yeah,
we played some things wrong, and we made mistakes and all that, but we ended up, I kept all that logging on Vassal, and I wrote about it, and then replayed it and said, well, here's what we could have done. And it's interesting because people go, oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, definitely. And I had that thing with actually with Mitch on it. Was next war, which one of the next war was it? It was India Pakistan, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I set up one of the campaign games of that, and one of the sides leapt out, Pakistan I think it was, leaps out into quite an early lead, and they, on turn 3, they get the roll to see if they get the automatic victory, and they need a 1 on a d10, and I roll a 1, and it's like, okay, that sometimes is going to happen. That's interesting to know. Instead of going, oh no, I'll re-roll that because I want to keep playing, it's like, actually no, that's interesting in its own right. So I'm just gonna say, well, there you go, you've got your winner, folks. Sometimes this happens, and move on.
Right, exactly. Well, so with your gameplay, the videoing has really enriched it for you, right? And I have not posted your link because we did this already, and
that's all right.
But I'll post it later. Unless someone can please go to Chewie Matt's channel, pull his URL down and post it. I'm on a bar's Wi-Fi, so I don't want to touch anything. But if someone could do that, that'd be awesome. And we got 24 people here now. You're fucking internet famous, bro. So cool. Let's see. What I wanted to ask you was what happens next with the channel. You tell the people that. I'm going to get me a beer. So entertain people. I'll be right back.
What happens next with the channel? Fucking hell. I don't. So what happens next with the channel is pretty much what has been happening with the channel. I mean, I've got a whole shelf load of games to crack through. Some of them classics, some of them new, some stuff I know, some stuff I've no idea about. So I've got lots of SPQR to play. I've got Jaws of Victory to play by whoever that's by, New England Simulations. I've got some OCS. I've probably got some BCS. I've got Korean War and Vietnam to try and get to at some point, if I ever fancy monster campaigns like that. Yeah, so there's a whole load of stuff. I'm not trying to do anything new or change the formula at all. It's still just going to be me pointing the camera at the board and rambling on.
Perfect. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, Kev.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just I stepped away. I wasn't sure if I lost. I kept my connection.
Yeah. No, you're still there. You're still there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So of the when you played Under an Iron Sky, right?
No, I played less than 60 miles.
Less than 60 miles. That's right. Okay.
I haven't played Under an Iron Sky.
Do you own it?
Under an Iron Sky?
Yeah.
No, and it's out of print and ridiculously expensive. But they're doing some Middle East thing, aren't they?
I think Fabrizio's actually here. He's here. So we're
Fabrizio. Yeah.
3-4 months away, hopefully, from it being available. But
I did see the Middle East one, but it looks like it's on like about 15 maps or something.
It's only 4,000 maps. You're good.
And I have space for like 2 map games, or it's playing it on Vassal, and of course playing it on Vassal isn't quite the same experience.
Right.
I've done it. I've played on Vassal. I think I played World in Flames on Vassal, and I had a go at what was that Ted Racer World War One thing? GMT.
Paths of Glory.
No. The big hex encounter one. Great War in Europe. Great War in Europe.
Oh, is that a big map thing?
So I think it was.
I don't know it. Whatever.
I think it was 4 maps, but it was a bit.
Oh shit. Okay.
I didn't really. Anyway, I tried it on Vassal. It wasn't, my cup of tea. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'd much.
So you were mentioning that you have a lot of stuff to play. Are you a naval guy, or are you a World War II guy, or hypotheticals? What's your bag? What's the deal?
So I do like naval, but I think a lot of it's done quite badly. We were talking about Atlantic Chase last time we were playing, and that does something really interesting, which I really like, which it portrays that kind of hit and miss chase, can't quite find the enemy, where are they, we're going in the wrong direction kind of stuff that's really, really hard to replicate with hex encounter. So it does something really cool. I do like naval. I like my Sea Creek 5. Like, if we're gonna get into it and actually pound the shit out of each other, the damage tables in that, you get ships that are just limping and slowly creaking and falling apart because the damage tables create all this mayhem. That's really cool. So naval I like. World War II, sort of. Bits of it.
Are you an East Front guy? That's a question of the day. East Front. You've got to be right. You must be huge in East Front, right?
I am. So I suppose North Africa interests me most in World War II, and then probably East Front after that. North Africa and East Front definitely. Not so into D-Day, Bulge,
right?
That kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, let's. You are a good man. See, Dennis, I take it all back. Man. You're a good guy.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I can't say anything. He and I have a love-hate relationship with each other. It's funny.
Yeah, World War II.
So anyway, World War II. But let me no, hang on. I want to come back to something you mentioned. Do you feel like the American effort was a bit of a sideshow in the European theater in World War II? Relatively speaking, compared to the Russians and Africa and all the rest of it.
That's a really good question.
You're so diplomatic. I was trying to throw you.
So
that bloody Brit.
In if I'm honest, in Western Europe, I think if we hadn't done Western Europe, if none of the invasions of Italy and France and D-Day had happened, I think the Russians would probably have got the job done as far as beating Germany. But the problem is, where would they have stopped? So was the Americans a sideshow? Probably not, because it meant the Russians had to stop at Berlin instead of just keeping on going,
Right.
So that's quite
right.
Yeah. And also, I think with the sort of Allied effort in North Africa was probably pretty critical in terms of oil and things like that. So strategically, that was probably the more important in my mind. Not that I'm an expert on these things, but that's how I look at it. North Africa, I think, was pretty critical. Europe, also important, but not in terms of defeating Germany, more in terms of the sort of the worldwide power base of the Soviet Union and the US,
Yeah, I think Africa was critical because of at the 30,000 foot level, sort of the strategic view. To me, it felt like if we didn't didn't force the Germans to divert forces down there, then there's an end around to the Urals, right? Yeah. And oil there and all the rest of it, and the Middle East oil, Suez Canal and all that sort of stuff. So that changes the dynamic a lot. And that whole Churchillian soft underbelly thing, I believe in that strategy. And I'm always curious with a strategic game where it says, oh, can I explore the soft underbelly strategy, which, it all happened by degrees on the American timetable because they weren't ready, right? It took till 43 or whatever.
Yeah.
they sort of just, they sort of nipped Monty's magnificence in the bud by doing the whole Tunisia thing, and and then did the Sicily and sort of took over from Sicily onwards. Well, not that you weren't there, but
Yeah, well, I think I've said what I can. I don't know that much about the sort of Italian campaign and the overall effect it has, but it from my recollection of sort of history lessons at school where we did quite a lot of World War II, it didn't seem like the most. Actually, it seemed like the soft underbelly theory was a bit wrong, and you were actually fighting horrible fucking battles in really rough terrain, and it was
the whole
it was all really gnarly, and the Germans were just loving it, dug in really hard, soaking up attacks, so it all looked a bit of a mess.
They threw the shit out of the Canadians and the British and the Americans, right? So there is that. Well, good. Now, so if do you like any fantasy gaming at all? Do you do any sci-fi fantasy stuff? So
I mean, I love a bit of Too Many Bones or Street Masters or do you know what I mean? Some just dungeon crawlery kind of stuff. I don't think there are that many. Well, I've certainly not found that many good fantasy or sci-fi like war game stuff. There's Dragon Pass, which I've got a copy of.
All right. Have you played it?
It's all a bit of a waste of time. You've got these great lines of like stacks of units, and then you've got these like units that can essentially nuke whole things. So it's like, well, why am I bothering to move this stuff around when one unit can just go nuke those stacks for us, and they go boom, and it's like, well, don't waste my time with all the make work of
gods, wizards, and dragons. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got things that can just call meteor strikes down, so don't make me walk around with spearmen and stuff. Yeah. Apart from that, I'd much rather play with friends. We don't do any wargaming now, like not the kind of wargaming I put on the channel. It's much more, Zombicide or Battlestar Galactica or Twilight Imperium if we're feeling really ambitious, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one thing I recall us talking about was the my impression of the UK gaming scene, war gaming scene, is it's all in on minis and not a lot of folks playing board games, board games at all. Have you found that to be true?
Every time I've looked in, so recently I haven't really cared because I've just been happy doing my own thing, setting my own games up, playing them, and then my social gaming has been, the kind of stuff we do in a one and done session, whatever. When I was much more sociable in gaming circles, all the conventions featured minis games. Like you go to Salute or you go to any of the big conventions, and it was just wall to wall tables of minis. And I tried that early on and didn't really get on with it. I just didn't find it interesting. There was just way too much effort painting and getting terrain together, and then none of it all fit together. Like these dioramas, they all looked really pretty, but they were really impractical to actually use. And board gaming it was just so much cleaner, cleaner and simpler and easier, and
all those beautiful six-sided hexes. Just put everything in.
Yeah, but if you've got if you give me a minis game and then you give me Napoleon's Triumph, I'll happily say that Napoleon's Triumph is as beautiful a game as the minis game every day of the week. It's stunning, that thing. And there are that's just one. There are others. And I think they're more innovative as well. I think there's what I found with my experience of minis, and I'm going back 20 years, but it was just like the same processes being repeated, and there was nothing. What was being pushed out as the new thing, and I didn't really see a new thing. Do you know what I mean? I saw the same thing over and over again. The DBAs or whatever it is, just very. It felt very formulaic. And one of the things I really like about the board wargaming hobby is the amount of innovation that goes on. It just seems to be fresh. There's new ideas coming through all the time, and that's the other thing I look for. Is apart from classics, I look for innovative games. That's what I'm trying to find all the time.
That's why you enjoyed Atlantic Chase, despite some of your perceived challenges with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's innovative, right? It's got a lot going on, right?
It's definitely a really cool game. You know, I'm not sure how long I'll enjoy it for. I'm not sure how much longevity it's got or replayability, but it might have loads. But here's the thing, right? Apparently, Atlantic Chase was based on a design that was being thought of for the US Civil War. So that design with all those trajectories and stuff was being mooted as a way of sort of disguising, you know, armies marching across, you know, in an operational sense. And it's like, fuck yeah, give me some of that. Even if it doesn't work, I'd rather play that and try it and see what happens and see what it's actually portraying than bust out another.
Yeah, which is really interesting because it's one of the big challenges with operational scale, depending on the era, is intelligence, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So the reason why ancient wars went on as long as they did is because getting to that critical point where you had all the armies in the right spot at the right time, was really hard because you can only scout out 20 miles or 10 miles or whatever, and then good luck what if someone was hiding their freaking army in a canyon or whatever they were doing, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward to the American Civil War, different sort of the Napoleonics. Right, Napoleon came up with the ability to have corps and march on multiple roads, so he could obfuscate where he was headed, which was the true line of attack.
Yeah,
doing something like Atlantic Chase at like great campaigns of the American Civil War scale, wouldn't that be fascinating to have? I don't know how you do it, who knows, but you know,
they will try though, I bet.
Map, right?
Yeah,
3 counters on the map that potentially represent the force majeure of a given side or something like that. So
definitely
more can be done.
Definitely. And so like on land combat, I'm always a bit frustrated that like fog of war seems only to extend to enemy units. You know, there's just this focus on enemy units, but it's like American Civil War commanders have got like satellite imagery of the whole fucking battlefield operational area, and they can look at a table to tell them what impact that has on every move and every combat. And it's like, no, man, that we've got to progress past that where there's something else being created that creates some uncertainty in those decisions, the same way that the commanders had, you know.
Have you ever tried Didier Roux's sort of, I guess it's a play by email or umpired game, but you've got a map and you mark in where your army's moving to, and the other side gets intel and stuff like that, and then all you've got is really cards that represent, I guess my hands are off screen now. You've got cards that represent the armies, and then you can actually either play the battles out with his hex encounter game system, or you can use minis, or you can just
I've not seen it.
It's really
French. Where's it from?
It's French. I'm trying to think of the name of the series. He did the Return of the Emperor is the Hex Encounter series. If you dig into that, I can't remember the name of his company now, but anyway, I just thought of it in terms of hidden movement. It's pretty cool to have that experience.
Yeah. So is it double? It's double blind. It has to be umpired, does it? Clearly.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of needs to be double umpired. Yeah. Thanks, Mo. You're a dick.
At least he's abusing you rather than me.
Yeah. Well, everyone's trying to be nice to you because new kid in the block and all that. Right? So, I guess it does need to be umpired, really. So I just find it fascinating that having run a game as an umpire, watching the guys trying to work out where they were, you immediately, it's a common thing, but you immediately become way more cautious. With your intentions versus if like in great campaigns of the American Civil War, well, I know where they are. I don't know how long it'll take them to get to where they are, where they want to be, because of the die roll for movement points mechanism. But they ain't here, right?
Exactly. So you get very paranoid very quickly about where your enemy could be.
Yes, and Gareth you should be happy to know that Matt is drinking a South African wine.
Yeah, beautiful South African.
From the Cape Town region, no less. I don't know for sure, but I'm just pulling that out of my ass. But
anyway, I don't know where it's from. I could look it up, but I don't know where it's from.
Well, so let's see. We're 35 minutes into it. I have a full beer, so we can keep talking, and you can we can chat.
Entirely up to you, dude. Entirely up to you.
I'm easy. So, does anyone in the audience,
anyone got any questions?
Have any questions for Matt? And if you've missed the earlier stuff, by all means, regurgitation is fantastic. We love doing that. But I would be curious to see, is there a topic that you don't like in wargaming that you just won't play, like World War I or Crusades or anything like that?
This is probably heresy, but actually tactical World War II. Tactical World War II.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up here, guys. Talking to Matt. Matt's a great guy. Subscribe or unsubscribe as you see fit. But thanks very much, Matt. Really? Come on.
Yeah. So the game that got me back into wargaming, after my 30s break, was ASL. I said I'd been taught squad leader by a friend of mine back in the late 80s. And so when I was getting back into gaming, and the internet was quite a young thing then, and so one of the games you could actually find on the internet, blasphemer, yeah. So one of the games you could find on information about was ASL, and I was in a game shop, local game store, my local game store from way back when, and I was just in there on a nostalgia trip, and I found a thing called ASL Classic, which was on sale in the used box for 50p or something.
Right.
And I picked it up and I flicked through it and I went, hell, 50p, why not? And I took it home and I started reading it. It had all these scenarios and game playthroughs, and I was like, yeah, this looks cool. So I bought some ASL stuff, which was not easy at the time. I think the rule book was available, the binder, but Beyond Valor was an absolute bitch to get hold of, and the other ASL modules, and then there was this thing needed board 7 and board 9, and you couldn't find board 9 for love nor money, and then it needed this overlay that was only in gung ho, which had been out of print for 8 years.
What a pain in the ass! See, no one tells you that before you join.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it was just do you know what? Fuck this. And also, now I taught the game to some people, some friends, and we had a good time with it. But again, I thought I can't solo it because there's hidden, dummy stacks and hidden counters and hidden placement, and that stuff's really important. There are scenarios that hinge on whether you can find the guy's hidden anti-tank gun before he blows all your tanks up. It's that kind of deal. So I kind of opted out of that because it seemed too player centric, and I couldn't get enough out of it for especially for the cost and effort involved of getting in. Yeah, it's
commitment. I call it it's kind of a monastic cult, right? I mean, once you put the robes on, you really don't want to take the robes off. You got the hood, you got the rope around the waist. Cool. So I'm in. I'm all in. Got to stay there. Whether like you said, there's all these little niggly things. You kind of go, no, well, I've 10 years of my life to it. Can't stop now.
Yeah, and I wasn't. It wasn't just I had Beyond Valor. I had what else? I had Quad of Guerre. I had Code Bushido, the Japanese one. I had the British. The King Country. I had several of the modules and several of the ASL journals and stuff, and it still felt like nowhere near enough. I felt like it was just scratching the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the journals, it was like, no, can't play that. That one needs the Italians. You can't get them anywhere at the moment. And on it went. And I just kind of lost interest in pursuing it for the collecting side of it. It was there's not enough gameplay here for the amount of effort involved and cost involved. How
many scenarios do you think you played?
Oh, Christ knows, 20, 25, something like that, maybe.
That's a fair whack. Yeah.
Yeah, I played enough and I must have taught it to 4 or 5 people as well. Here's the guards counterattack. We're all set up. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
The guards counterattack.
Play guards counterattack 27 times and play something else.
Exactly, and then played this up. I actually went to an ASL weekend tournament somewhere as well, and like met the proper hardcore with like rucksacks full of like every last thing ever published for ASL, you know, and it was eye-opening, and they were fun. They were fun guys. Had some good games. Learned the rules a bit better. You know, cheated inadvertently quite a few times. Took shots that technically.
Do they have little cards they hold up and go, umpire? Request the umpire.
They needed them with me around, but
Mark Flanagan's, he's got a question for you. Do you prefer solo gaming versus face-to-face or opposed? And then,
do you know, so face-to-face, or I actually much prefer solo because I have so much more time to take things at my own pace, to think about what's happening, you know. Face-to-face I liked, but there always felt like a pressure to like not keep the other guy waiting and to make a game of it and all those kind of things, do you know what I mean? Not to fuck up. So there was just social pressure on the face-to-face stuff, and when I'm the guy teaching the game inevitably as well, it just, there's the burden there. Yeah, often I'd be the one with the game, teaching the game, trying to run the game and trying to play the game, and again it's like, why when I can just play solo and take it at my own speed, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, unless you're in a club or you've got somewhere to leave stuff set up, how are you going to play OCS games face to face? You know, the practicalities of it, especially when I'm weeks away from turning 50, you know, and people that I used to game with all in the same town are now all around the country and all around the world. You know, it's not that easy anymore. So solo's got a lot of benefits. Do I like the narrative-driven solo stuff? No, that's not really my cup of tea. That's not really my cup of tea.
You are not the automated dice roller for B-17?
I let you say that rather than me.
I'm just helping you out here because we already had that conversation. So
yeah.
I don't know the answer. Yeah. Look. There's as we've said, right? There's a lot of goodness to be had out of those narrative generators if you want that.
Yeah.
But if you want to make rich decisions, you know, maybe not so much. Okay.
And who's the guy? There's a guy, and I think he's based out of Puerto Rico, and he did an absolutely hilarious like B-17 playthrough with like all the BGGs.
Oh yeah, that was oh my gosh.
What's Stupid Joe? Stupid
Joe, yeah, just drew a blank there,
yeah. And I watched his playthrough of B-17, and I was just like, "That's genius!" Like that's
enthralling, right?
Yeah, that's just genius. But I can't do it. You know, it's not my thing. But it's not like I don't appreciate it. It's just not my thing. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, let me see. Got some other knuckleheads here. There we go. Mo's on a mission.
Yeah,
Mo's doing value add.
Yeah.
He's like the color commentary guy. So with your channel, do you have like a big setup? You got like the lights and the green screens and
no.
What are you using? A phone and a tripod, or you use a video camera? What do you?
I'm as lo-fi as it gets, man. I'm as lo-fi as it gets, and I like it that way. So I've got I've got a games room. It's not big. It's like I can set up 2 map games in there. I've got my table. I've got a lamp, and then I've got like this camera here. This.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're actually using a video camera. Well, you're one.
I kind of like it because I can just have it like that. Like, I'm not putting my hand, but just have it like that, and it's very easy to point in the right direction.
Right.
It does some clever things that I never realized it would. So it turns all the orange light. If I've got artificial light on, it filters all that out and turns it back into white light, which is really nice. And it does some stuff like that for me. The sound on it's crap, and I wish it had a better mic and stuff like that.
Speak of the devil. He heard you were talking about him, and here he is.
Here is Stuka Joe.
The dulcet tones of Stuka Joe.
Okay, thumbs up for the B17 playthrough, Stuka Joe. Thanks very much for that. I haven't laughed so much in a playthrough for a long time. That was awesome. Yeah, so my crappy Panasonic camcorder there is all that I need, and I've got some fairly basic editing software to stitch my film clips together, and I put some sort of into things between the scenes so that it doesn't look so abrupt when I change scene from one to the next. And I add a bit of music on and I caption it up, and then I watch it through to make sure I haven't fucked up too badly, and where I notice I've made some awful balls up mistake, I add some caption in saying this is an awful balls up mistake.
Herein lies a tragic mistake. Please ignore the 2.5 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Mark Flanagan is asking great questions. Mark, I'm going to have you submit questions in advance so you can make me look good. Similar question: thoughts on a typical wargame systems or atypical wargame systems? So he's kind of sort of leading the witness here a little bit. Coin, wargame or Euro?
Euro. The honest answer to that, and I don't know. Like I started from the right back at the beginning, saying I was going to games clubs where you just played everything, man. You played Boot Hill as a mini war game, and you played Ogre, and you played, Axis and Allies, and you didn't give a shit what it was. You just played it. So genuinely, I don't care what it is. I only care whether I have fun with it. The only coin I've played is Vietnam, the Vietnam one, Fire in the Lake, that one. I bought Fire in the Lake. I've only played it opposed. I tried to solo it and I couldn't. There wasn't enough. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it solo.
Didn't like the bots?
I didn't like the bots. No. But I played it face to face. I played it I taught it to friends.
Yeah.
We sat around and played it a few. We played it multiplayer, 4-player. We played it a few times, and it all came down to who could convince the worst player to do the dumbest thing.
Right. Yeah. And there may or may not be a grain of truth in that.
Yeah, and if you could talk, the South Vietnamese into doing something like really fucking stupid, chances are you were onto a winner.
Yeah. Go ahead. I have a follow-up.
I'm being a bit unkind, but there was, that felt like how it was going. There was very much an element of, it was very poker-like. You weren't playing the game; you were playing the players.
Right. Exactly. Well, but that's an element of gaming that can be interesting. And I've got a couple of different opponents I play with live that I know their psyche.
Right. Yeah.
To gaming, and there may be a little loose talk in the gameplay as we go that is shaping decisions. Not that I would be a jerk like that. My advantage, but I do that all the time. But my question to you, my follow-on question is about coin, and you definitely avoided Wargame versus Euro, and really,
it's just a debate I'm not interested in.
No one cares, right? Place a block, take a block, right? But
exactly.
But do you believe that? Well, it's two questions. First of all, do you really think that all of the titles that have been created under this framework of coin, which is supposed to be counterinsurgency, are they all truly asymmetrical warfare? Number one. Two, do you really believe that they're all 4-player games, or there are just 2-player games with a guy that happens to sit next to you that might be on your team?
Yeah. Oh God.
Come on.
No,
we're having a beer. We're relaxing. No one's here. There's 27 people. No one counts.
I think personally, I think that the popularity of that is being exploited in just to sell units. Not that. No. So we had we took this a slightly different way when we spoke last time, in that I'm okay with that, because if GMT sells like 10,000 copies of Pendragon and that gives it the cash to take the risk on Atlantic Chase, I'm down with that.
Sure.
Because nothing forces me to buy Pendragon, or whatever other coin thing it is. I thought coin looked super exciting when I first saw Andean Abyss. you know, I thought, well, I don't know whether it's a war game or not. It looks partly political. It looks kind of economic. It looks like it's got lots of facets of like modern guerrilla insurgency stuff going on that maybe isn't well modeled by, you know, military units confronting each other. So I thought it looked super cool for that. Equally, I think Castro, not that I've played either of those games, but I thought Castro looked similar. I looked at the Cuban Civil War and thought, well, that totally makes sense. Since then, I've looked at the games coming out and thought, you know what, really? Didn't the Romans just steamroll Europe like militarily? Why are we dressing this up in some other guise, you know?
Right.
I'd rather play Swords of Rome when it comes to the Romans, you know, and play some cards and move some Carthaginians around, or play SPQR or whatever, than go through that, jump through those hoops. So yeah, I do think it's being exploited a bit, but again, I'm not sure I'm opposed to that if it pays for the games that we play.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it's great if we get folks who think they are crossing the bridge from Euro to wargaming by playing coin.
Yeah,
that's a win. And if that then draws them into some other game or game system, then I'm all down for that as well.
And
I think the vitriol around the system is kind of stupid, because there's this, well, you know, got to get my grognard card punched, so I'm going to go hate on it or love on it or whatever you're doing, right?
And I think context, I think we lose perspective a little bit as well, because we're so used to like OCS, BCS, like super heavy war game systems, and like we're in there, we're doing it. Like coin is way more war game than Puerto Rico or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know, and that's what a lot of the gaming community is playing. They're playing Caylus and Caverna and Puerto Rico and you know, all that stuff. So again,
language to me right now, I have no idea what you just said. Something okay, I don't. It's just that was just noise in and noise out.
We can
but I hear you. It's some sort of Euro game that they're playing, and we get upset when they play a coin game, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think Atlantic Chase, you know, if you can get people in Atlantic Chase or coin or stuff like that, I don't care. Twilight Struggle or Imperial Struggle or whatever it is, cool. I'm for it, you know.
Yep. All right. So what about Napoleonics? Looks like we got a question about Napoleonic system. So you better step up a little bit and put your grognard hat on now.
Napoleonics. So I talked about Napoleon's Triumph, which I bought almost by accident when it came out retail. I'm so pleased I did, because it's worth an absolute mint. But I really like Napoleon's Triumph, but it's a two-player game. I have to teach it to people in order to play it, and that just sucks.
It's a bit of a poker game, really, isn't it? A lot of bluffing, right? Yeah, I've read the rules for Marengo, and pulled the Vassal module down, and it's like, hang on, I can't do this solo, right? Because it
no, you can't do it solo. You can't. Game. Napoleon's Triumph is the same. And someone once tried to write some solo rules, and I looked at them and tried them, and they didn't work. Well, or they didn't produce the experience you wanted.
Right.
What's that one that's produced by Hexasim?
Rising Eagles or something?
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
I quite liked that. I've tried one of those so far.
Yeah.
Quite like that. I find that quite difficult to solo as well, though, because there's still an element of trying to disguise your plans. And I find Napoleonics in general quite operational or tactical quite tough for that reason.
Which one did you play?
Oh God, the Austerlitz one, whatever it's called.
Oh right, yeah, with all the fog and stuff. Yeah, it's probably a little harder to play solo, but you know, because you got the chit draw, it kind of helps.
Yeah,
right?
So you got those kind of.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you're good.
You got those kind of messy separate map with like your objective chits on it and stuff. Right. And yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I liked it. It's one of those that I keep looking at and going, I ought to really give that a proper full-blown blast to see whether I like it or not. I goofed around with it for a couple of days, but I haven't actually set it up in earnest and really gone for it.
Well, I tell you what, not that I'm an expert in the system by any means, but I have played the system opposed quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I'll vouch for its credibility, although I find I just think Napoleonics is so hard to model because of the chance things that happened and the chance meetings and the timing, like with Quatre Bras and Lingy with Duel and going backwards and forwards, and how do you model that? That's almost impossible.
And then you've got a military commander in Napoleon who seems to be 6 months ahead of everyone else around him. So it's he's looking at maps in Paris going, I'm going to fight the decisive battle there, and he's like 3 miles out. Do you know what I mean? He's predicted the entire campaign in his head before it's even happened.
Yeah.
How do you model that in any way? It's really, really tough.
Yeah. Which in to a larger extent, that's why I kind of like some of the operational stuff. So Kevin Zucker's OSG, that upscale, I think it's called the 2x, 5x, whatever system. There's a bunch of them, but that's 1 or 2 kilometers per hex, and now you're abstracting the combat, but you're maximizing not the randomness, but the operational aspects of the things of the game and the supply situation. Not a fan of the way he does attrition, but I like that type of stuff.
Are they soloable?
I play all those solo. I mean, I have the ability to either play a turn that I walk away, and then come back to the other side, or I'll just, it's like a Vulcan mind wipe. It's really easy. Or I drink a whiskey or something.
So
I've got to do. That's crazy.
I've only ever seen other people play those in vids, and I'm actually thinking of Enrico here, and honestly, it's semi put me off. I'll be honest, it's semi put me off. But then I'm never quite sure whether I'm seeing like the real picture and the real game. It sounds like I'm dissing him really badly, but I'm not. I love the guy.
But he's got enough going on in his life right now. We're just going to leave that alone, right?
Yeah, totally.
He's gone through some shit, so.
Yeah, absolutely. But he has an interesting relationship with the rules most of the time when he's playing.
He does, and he also has an interesting relationship with his viewers as well, right? So character from that perspective.
Yes. So I don't know. I don't know whether we touched on this before, but I'm quite a stickler for the rules. I really do like getting the rules right.
Yes.
As right as I can. I forget things and I miss things and I miss modifiers and I do things wrong, but none of it's. I'm always really aiming to get everything as right as I can, and it pisses me off when I found out that I've got it wrong.
Yeah, it's nothing like playing a game for a year or two, a series or whatever, and then someone goes, "Oh, well, you realize that you've been doing that wrong the entire time."
Yeah.
Oh, well, gee, thanks, asshole. You didn't see any of the videos. You couldn't be just like saying, "Hey, bro, clue a sucker in." Yeah. I hate that, and often I find, well, there's a balance. So if it's de minimis in terms of game impact, I'm just going to roll with it and roll through it. But I'll look at something, and if I think it's going to break my game experience, and sometimes people get upset with me saying, "Oh, well, I broke the game," or "the game's broken." What I'm really saying is that I made a mistake, and so it's I'm done, or I need to come back to it or whatever. But I can find myself getting spun up around the axle on a little rule, right?
Yeah.
Does it matter? I don't know.
Do you find yourself doing that thing where you find you've played it wrong and then you try and replay your way back through the entire game to figure out what all the knock-on implications were?
Of course. Oh yeah. All the time. Yeah, and sometimes I'll just go and I'll. Because I schedule stuff out 60 days sometimes, and I'll pull videos and them and edit them and go, okay, going forward, here we go. So, and even then we still make mistakes or whatever. Here's another question for you.
Go
on. So how important is map design in your gaming enjoyment? What springs to mind as a favorite example of a map or an artist?
Oh. Wow. I'm really having to think about that because I think I'd probably, sadly, take maps for granted a little bit, and then you get a bad one and you think, shit.
Yeah. Well, there's some amazing art coming out now, and I am constantly amused by our beautiful folks that decades older than me bemoaning the lack of 3-color maps.
Yeah.
I think there's some fantastic digital art.
Yeah.
I also think there's some fantastic hand-drawn art that only serve to enrich the experience. And
yeah, I mean, I like them when they do something. When they do something you're not expecting. Napoleon's Triumph has an absolutely stunning map, for example. Napoleon's Triumph has a stunning map because it's the way it's divided up into sections is sort of intrinsic to the gameplay. So that's really cool. Do you play that Hexasynthen Tenka Toitsu? I'm pronouncing that horribly, but you know the one I mean, the Japanese samurai.
Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah, I've played all those. Kawakajima as well, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a super interesting map layout. Do you know what I mean? The map design of that, and again, it's intrinsic to the gameplay.
Yes.
I love that. I love the Great Campaigns of the American Civil War maps. That's the other one that really springs to mind. I could almost just look at those and read the place names, and it's so evocative. It's
so
like,
fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You just get drawn in, and next thing you know, half an hour's gone by, and you haven't moved anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, they're just called people's names. You know, like Smith's Woodshed and stuff like that. And that guy lived there. You know, that was his woodshed.
Taylor's farmhouse and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Grain mill. Yeah. That's really interesting.
So those are super cool. And I think I just generally like MMP maps as well. There's something clean and simple and nice and
they strike the balance, I think, between the SBI, tedious 2 or 3 colors, and once we got through the 80s with them, the OCS, BCS maps now have a tightness to them, a cleanliness to them that's you know who, not to blow smoke up Mitch Land's ass, but the next war maps
are beautiful.
Are really
they are really sound. Yeah, they're really nice. But they've just got that clean sort of GMT. It doesn't look super computer generated. It's just that nice balance between looking natural and looking clean. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. Pacific War, a good solo experience. I think I touched on that when I filmed it. I think the early stuff, the battle scenario stuff, and I forget which way around it is. I think engagements are just like the one-turn things, but then you get the battle scenarios,
right?
And they're really good solo. Once you get into the campaign stuff and you're having to bid points for whether you're going to do an operation and you're meant to be making secret rolls for how many of those points you get, that all starts to look really difficult to solo. So I'd say the battle scenarios are where it's at personally, and if the game's worth buying just for those, then do it, and if you can find people to play in the campaigns, then do it, but I'm going to struggle to solo campaigns on that in that game system.
It all gets a little argy-bargy, right, when you get there's the hidden counter you put down for, I forget what it is now.
What the operation type? Are you on a surprise attack or a carrier ambush? And it's like, if you know, there's no way of unknowing, is there? Yeah.
Well, excellent. You know what? You just clocked in over an hour, my friend.
Get in.
Entertaining. Now, listen, everybody. We're gonna wrap this up here.
I can't see who's on this chat, so it's been really cool to have everyone on, by the way.
Have you had, can you see the comments? Have you not clicked on the comments, top right-hand side?
No, I haven't been watching the comments. I've been seeing them pop up, on the
I've
screen.
been popping them up for you.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I've been trying to think of sensible things to say.
I'm a good host. Well, we've had 27 people, up to 31 at one point. So I'll make sure I post your link and all that. And I know you don't. You're kind of like me. You don't really care how many subs you have. You're doing it for yourself, and so that's what's wonderful about you. So, so one thing I'd like to leave you with is, if you're interested, and you wanted to sort of goof around with Hexasim, the Napoleonics, maybe we could do something together live. We'll find a time on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, and we can goof around, play a couple of turns, see what it's like.
Okay, let's do it. That would be fun.
All right, that'd be cool. All right, well, look, everybody else, if you have not already subscribed to Chewie, Matt, then you should do so. There's a URL in the chat here. I will post it on the various places this is being pushed to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and look forward to it. Appreciate everyone's questions and comments, and appreciate Matt coming on and sharing his story with us, despite the debacle of me trying to record it originally and post it next week. So here's to you. Cheers.
All the best. Thanks very much, Kev. Cheers. Take care, everyone. See ya.
Of course, if I could press the